Nutricula, Smart Expert. Risk management in Nutricula. One of the most important concepts that are recommended in the discussion of capital management is to set a maximum allowable risk for each position and stick to it. From the Nutricula Max Risk section, we can determine the maximum percentage of our capital that we are willing to put at risk in each trade. In Nutricula, there are two modes of visual and lottage for max risk. Suppose we select the visual mode and set the maximum risk to 1%, and now we intend to place an order. As we can see, below the price at which we intend to determine the order, a red dotted line is drawn on the chart. This dotted line shows us that if our order is placed at the current price, given the volume we have considered for it, where is the farthest stop loss we can set so that a maximum of 1% of our capital is at risk of being lost? This way, we can be sure that 99% of the rest of our capital is safe by placing our stop loss at a closer point compared to the red dotted line. As we can see, this red dotted line is also displayed at the time of setting the stop loss, and if we place the stop loss farther from this dotted line, a risk warning message is displayed at the top of the screen, which indicates that we have put our capital in a risk exceeding the maximum we specified. Now, if we increase the max risk variable, for example, to 1.5%, we see that the red dotted line appears at a farther point and gives us more freedom to determine the stop loss. Since in the average mode, all positions and orders are averaged and all of them are displayed as a single position. In the average mode, the amount of loss risk of all positions and orders of each symbol is added together, and the max risk is calculated in a way that this total loss is less than the maximum allowed risk. So, in the average mode, if we want to add the second order, we see that the dotted line is getting closer, since the volume of the second order is also taken into account in the calculations. Obviously, in average mode, the farther the second order is from the first order, since the average of the orders moves to a farther point, the dotted line gives us a more limited space to determine a single stop loss. But in the separate mode, the max risk that we have specified for each line set is considered only for that line set, separately and independently from other positions or orders. This is true in both visual and lottage modes. Now, in order to get acquainted with the lottage mode, we change the type of max risk to the lottage. As we can see, by doing this, the possibility of manually reducing or increasing the amount of lot size is disabled, and from now on, the trading volume is determined automatically. In fact, max risk in the lottage mode, unlike the visual mode, instead of suggesting the location of the stop loss and asking us to place the stop loss somewhere closer than the dotted line, it chooses the volume of the trade in such a way that no matter at what price the stop loss is located, still 1.5% of our capital that we have determined here will be exposed to risk. For example, if we place the stop loss here, we see that the volume automatically changes to 0.81 lots. And now with this change in volume, if the price falls to the stop loss we set, at most 1.5% of our capital is lost and no more. Also, if we increase the amount of max risk to, for example, 5%, we see that the volume of order increases to 2.7 lots and is determined in such a way that the same stop loss this time puts 5% of our capital at risk. Also, if we change the location of the stop loss and set a farther price for it, we will see that with the automatic reduction of the order volume, again 5% of the capital is at risk, and it is not possible to lose more than 5% of our capital in this position. It is good to mention that in both visual and lottage modes, in addition to the location of stop loss, the location of partial losses, whether there is one or two of them, is considered, and the calculations are made in such a way that the total loss of the partial losses and the stop loss is at most equal to the specified max risk value. That is, adding partial loss in visual mode will move the dotted line to a farther location, and in the lottage mode, it will increase the trading volume. It does not matter if the partial losses or stop loss are set horizontally or trendy. It is notable that the lottage mode also works when we intend to enter the position immediately and directly and is not limited to pending orders, provided that we specify the stop loss location before entering the position. For example, suppose we select this point as a stop loss and click on the buy button. We see that the position opens automatically with a volume that only 5% of our capital is at risk, considering the place of stop loss, neither more nor less. It is also worth mentioning that we can combine the lottage mode of max risk with the bracket order. To do this, we close the current position and activate the bracket order. Now, if we place a pending order or click on the buy button directly, since it's already determined that where the stop loss and also partial losses are going to be, we will see that again the volume was calculated automatically, and only the amount of our capital that we have specified will be at risk of losing. Also, the lottage mode of max risk has the necessary coordination with bidirectional order. And for each of the buy and sell directions, it considers different volumes according to the location of the stop loss. Nutricula. Trade like a pro.